Vinashaya, with the desire to burn. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Because of having undergone long austerities in the water, the Prachetas were very angry at the trees, desiring to burn them to ashes. They generated wind and fire from their mouths. Purport. Here the word tapo dipita manyavaha indicates that persons who have undergone severe austerities, tapasya, are endowed with great mystic power, as evinced by the Prachetas, who created fire and wind from their mouths. Although devotees undergo severe tapasya, however they are vimanyavaha, sadhavaha, which means that they are never angry. They are always decorated with good qualities. Bhagavatam 3:25-21 states, Titikshava karunaka shruda savadehina ajata sastrava santa sadava sadabhushinaha. A sadhu, a devotee, is never angry. Actually, the real feature of devotees who undergo tapasya, austerity, is forgiveness. Although a Vaishnava has sufficient power in tapasya, he does not become angry when put into difficulty. If one undergoes tapasya but does not become a Vaishnava, however, one does not develop good qualities. For example, Hiranyakashipu and Ravan also performed great austerities, but they did so to demonstrate their demoniac tendencies. Vaishnavas must meet many opponents while preaching the glories of the Lord, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends that they not become angry while preaching. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given this formula, Chanadapi Sunachena Tarodapi Surisana Amanimadina Kirtana Sarahari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Those engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord should be humbler than grass and more tolerant than a tree. Then they can preach the glories of the Lord without difficulty. Om Gyan Timanandasya Gyana Shalakya Chakshomritandena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakapa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhuvevicha Patitanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasi Gaura Bhaktarina. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare. The devotee has many qualities, and he can exhibit them in any way. This purport here is talking about how the devotee is never angry, and he's always tolerant. But many times we see within the Bhagavatam, and even with Srila Prabhupada, he will get angry sometimes. There's a story with when Prabhupada was met with, they invited a professor of Hinduism to meet with Prabhupada to have a discussion. So he invited him, he sat him down, and he says, "You're a professor of Hinduism, so can you explain to us what is Hinduism?" So this professor goes, "Well, it's very hard to say, it's very confusing, it's a very complicated subject." So then he looked to his disciple, Bhakti Sudamada Goswami. "So what do we call this?" And he said, "Cheating, Prabhupada." "That's right, you're a cheater. You are a professor of Hinduism, but you cannot explain Hinduism. Therefore, you're a cheater." And a big fight, took place. He started shouting at Prabhupada. He got more angry. He said, "No, you're a cheater." And he got more angry. This professor got more angry. And he kept going back and forth, back and forth. Then Brahmananda came involved. And he's big. He's like a wrestler. And then he got to the professor. He says, "You better leave before you cause more offense." They invited him as a guest, and then he asked him to leave. Asked him getting angry. And so one may think, especially when we preach nowadays, oh, we disturbed him, oh, great professor from the university, this is not good. But Narendra Swarup, who was also at that conversation, 20 years later, he actually met this professor. He met him, and he was thinking, oh, maybe I have to apologize for Prabhupada or explain what happened. So he remembers the meeting, obviously, with Prabhupada, and he said that actually your Prabhupada, he was right, he was great. So sometimes the anger is used by the devotee, but it's usually out of it's only out of love, it's not out of control. Whereas the materialists, they're undergoing the influence of lust, Kamadesha, Krodesha, Rajaguna movement, by contact the mode of passion, then they're affected by this lust which is followed by anger. Mahashana Mahapap Mahavidhinam Ihavarino. This is the all devouring enemy of this world. That's what puts us into this anger. And the example given in the purport of Hiranyakashipu and Ravan. Hiranyakashipu was only thinking about satisfying his lust, Apneyandriya, Pritivanchita, Vadekam. That is lust when trying to satisfy the senses of the body. But Krishnendriya Priti Chithare Premana, that by satisfying the senses of Krishna, then that is real love. So when Hiranyakashipu was anything that would go out of his realm of sense enjoyment or control, then great anger would be demonstrated just by the lifting of his eyebrows. The demigods would shiver and fright from Hiranyakashipu. But if we look at Prahlad Maharaj, great love had great love for the Lord, always remembering the Lord. And he wasn't shaken at all by the anger of Hiranyakashipu. With that remembrance and constant devotion to the Lord, he exhibited this tolerance, this titiksha. So to himself, he didn't experience any feeling of, why is he doing this to me? Or why is God letting me go through this suffering? Usually we suffer and then we start to blame God. God, why did you do this to me? I remember we took a flight and we were coming from London to Prague. And then as we go through the security and then we start doing Harinam. We chant through the duty-free shops and everything. So as we're going through, one lady stopped us and she says, oh, you're Hare Krishna from ISKCON. Oh, so nice to see you. Then she started expressing her doubts that I had a brother, a cousin who passed away. Why does God do this? Why does God do this to us? So the anger may not be at a person, but sometimes it's at God as well. This is how the conditioned soul gets confused and doesn't know what to do with his life. He's always undergoing this cycle of suffering, one after the other, either from himself, from others, or from natural disturbances, from birth, death, old age, and disease. He's caught up in this because of that main focus of identifying with the body and trying to satisfy the senses. So that is pretty much what the materialist goes through. But let's look at the devotee more and different instances where, due to love for Krishna, then anger is displayed, and when tolerance is displayed. So I want to make it more interactive. So, can anyone think of an incident in Sastra with Srila Prabhupada or some devotees where anger was displayed out of service or love to Krishna?
Some of ones that I find 70s when the devotees were doing Harinam in New York City. At that time it was quite dangerous actually to be in the street because there were all kinds of different gangs and skinheads and neo-Nazis. So like Lakshmi Nrsimha Prabhu and other devotees who were on the Radha Damodar party, they were telling me how sometimes they would have to fight on the street because these gangs would come and try to beat up the devotees. And so and it was like, they were very angry. How are you trying to hurt Krishna's devotees? And why are you trying to stop us? We're just singing and dancing. So in that instance, it was required to defend the devotees and protect the yagya.
Anyone else? Some incident of great service of the Lord.
When this initiation or the inauguration of the Amsterdam temple took place, and the arrangements have been poor by the devotees, Prabhupada was becoming extremely angry about that, and he didn't care about that. There also had been the camera team, the TV had been there, and everyone was looking at him and was amazed about how angry he was. But it was pure. It was not because of himself. It was because he cared for Krishna.
That was the first example I was thinking as well. I have the story here, but you want to read it? Can you read it? Yeah. Thank you for bringing it up. I was going to talk about, I was thinking maybe that was a bad example, but anyway. Okay, so this is, it's called Prabhupada Getting Angry. When Srila Prabhupada visited the ISKCON temple in Amsterdam in July 1972, he agreed to the devotees' request to install deities of Lord Jagannath. Due to the temple's leaders' mismanagement, however, the event turned into a fiasco. TV cameramen were present, as well as reporters from the biggest newspapers in the city, and the temple room was crowded with guests. But when Prabhupada came into the temple room and sat to perform the yajna, he saw many discrepancies. "Where are the fruits and grains?" he asked. The temple president replied that the fruits had all been used in the fruit salad. Prabhupada became angry. "Where are the flowers?" he asked. The reply was, "We forgot." "Who is responsible for this?" Prabhupada demanded. In his transcendental anger, Prabhupada was not the least bit intimidated by the presence of the TV, press and guests. He was more concerned about Lord Jagannath and the installation, and his disciples' incompetence. "Well, Prabhupada," stammered the temple president, "they didn't follow my instructions." "What instructions?" said Prabhupada loudly. "Who's responsible for this? Which rascal?" The devotees present were all frightened by Prabhupada's anger. His eyes widened, and the devotees felt it was like the wrath of Lord Nrsimha. Despite the mistakes, Prabhupada proceeded with the ceremony. But when it came time to actually place the deities on the altar, major miscalculations became evident. The devotees suddenly discovered that the altar they had built was too small. The deities could not fit. The pujaris closed the curtains, while half a dozen devotees rushed behind the altar to make emergency alterations. As Srila Prabhupada, the media people and the large crowd waited, sounds of banging and chopping emanated from behind the closed curtain. The whole throne had been taken apart and carried to a corner of the hall. Finally, the curtain opened and the deities were placed on the altar. The deities were dressed and decorated very plainly, and Prabhupada's visage remained displeased. But after his initial fiery expressions, his anger abated. He proceeded with the ceremony, chanting the mantras and delivering a full Krishna conscious lecture. At this time, he also awarded the sannyas order to the Amsterdam temple president. Due to the density of the crowd and the heat and smoke from the fire, the unventilated room became uncomfortable for everyone. By now, Srila Prabhupada was beyond such discomforts. In fact, he also seemed undisturbed as smoke filled the room, and the ceremony continued for installing Lord Jagannath in his Amsterdam temple. Hare Krishna Das interviewed. Hare Krishna Das also relates that this incident gave him lasting impressions of Prabhupada's qualities. If the temple management had not made so many mistakes, he realized, then there would have been no cause for Prabhupada's becoming so angry in front of all the guests. Nevertheless, it also revealed that Prabhupada did not care as much about the audience as he did for Krishna and Krishna's pleasure. The devotees were able to see how Prabhupada was actually aloof from public opinion. They will remember this in their preaching when comparing Prabhupada to other gurus. They could understand better now that Srila Prabhupada was completely different from the Swamis who became involved in various public causes and political controversies. Prabhupada was beyond all of that, completely renounced and detached. He was concerned only with pleasing Krishna and spreading Krishna consciousness. Nice story. Srila Prabhupada ki. Any other examples of devotees exhibiting anger out of love for Krishna? You can think of.
Only for Prabhupada.
Any sastra.
Also, but in Saraswati, we take the impression.
Microphone.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. One devotee in Mexico, he in the Vyasa Puja of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he reading pastime from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and in that time the community calling to Maharaj Simha Uru, because he was like always in this mood, no, like Nrsimhadev, no, he want to kill like demons, no, and he always how say, fighting with the impersonalists or these kind of materialist people, no? And I don't remember all past times, but I remember when this devotee explained how he was tall, Maharaj was very tall, and he take the people, materialist people, impersonalists in the air, no? Like puppets, no? Why are you preaching this? No, why are you preaching that? This is how say, cheating, no? And they show in this love for Krishna in the mood of in the mood of how say, anger. Like, and also I saw many videos of Prabhupada. Last days I posted, I think yesterday, I was looking videos from Prabhupada and I post in Facebook this kind of videos of Prabhupada. When Prabhupada is preaching very heavy, no, to the devotees in the whole, he doesn't care, no, about the who like or who's criticizing, no. He doesn't care. He just say the truth, no. And that's it, no. He doesn't care. And in this video says, I want to show you this video. But I don't have my phone.
That's okay.
It's a very nice video because it's like in this mood, Prabhupada is going more deep in your heart, no? The structure is going more deep. Hey, thank you, Harish.
Okay, thank you for the example. Okay, so we can see, now we have Panchatattva, but we can see that also Lord Chaitanya also exhibited great anger many times. But the most famous is that when Jagai Marai heard Lord Nityananda, he came with his Sudarshan Chakra, who did this? And he was ready to cut their heads off. But now we see the quality of the devotee, tolerance. Lord Nityananda tolerated so much out of love for Lord Chaitanya. out of love for Lord Chaitanya, to spread Lord Chaitanya's glories as Patitipala. He saw these fallen souls of Jagai and Madhai, born in Brahmin families, doing actually everything you're not supposed to do. Raping, burning villages down, beating anyone up. If there was no one to beat up, they'd beat each other up, drinking alcohol, everything. So he wanted to deliver them. And when he got struck, then he said, I'm not angry at you. All I want you is to chant the name, Haribo, Haribo. You can see in this, what's that, Imai Pandit, in that movie. Haribo, Haribo, you know. And the Lord came with Sudarshan Chakra. Lord Nityananda fell at his feet. He says, no, my Lord, do not kill these fallen souls. You come in this age to kill the demonic mentality. If you have to kill Jagai Mara, you have to kill everyone in Kali Yuga. Because everyone in Kali Yuga is a Jagai Mara. Please, deliver them. Please. And actually, Jagai, he saved me. Mara was going to strike me again. So then he delivered him. Then Mara, he begged mercy from Lord Nityananda so he could get delivered by Lord Chaitanya. It's an amazing passing here. Lord Chaitanya actually embraced Jagai and Madhai, and he absorbed all the simple reactions of Jagai and Madhai and he turned black. And then he asked Lord Nityananda, how do I look? I look like black, like Krishna. Then big kirtan happened. And then actually what happened when all the sins were absorbed by the Lord, then Chitragupta, who's taken the records of all the sinful reactions. Actually, it was so difficult to keep up with the sinful reactions of Jagai and Madhai. Thousands and thousands of scribes trying to keep up. It was very difficult. So then, when this happened, when Lord Chaitanya delivered them, Chitragupta, he fainted out of ecstasy, and then he told Yamaraj about it. He also fainted. How is this possible? Then, when Lord Chaitanya was looking at this black complexion, then a big kirtan started. An amazing kirtan. All the demigods came, even Yamaraj came, all in disguise as humans. Lord Shiva also came in the form of a naked sannyasi with his dreadlocks dancing everywhere. It was an amazing incident that took place. But the main thing that Lord Chaitanya instructed Jagai and Madhai, it's like, yes, I've delivered you, but no more sinful reaction. So you can see that with us, that we're being born in Kali Yuga, it's kind of natural to be offensive to the Lord, to commit sinful activities, to go after sense gratification. But by following these four regulative principles and chanting the holy name of the Lord, then we are always within the mercy of the Panchatattva. It's just like that great combination of the tolerance and mercy of Lord Nityananda and that strong love that Lord Chaitanya was exhibiting for Krishna and his devotees, especially for his devotees. So yeah, I want to touch more on the subject of tolerance now. So does anyone can tell an example of tolerance by devotees or by the Lord? Yes.
Haridas Thakur.
Haridas
Haridas Thakur was beaten on this market, on this 22 market. And then he realized, oh, actually you want to kill me? Oh, you should tell me sooner. I will leave body sooner. And then so like, okay, so I will leave body because I make difficulty for you.
Amazing. Amazing tolerance. Any other examples? Oh, lady side. This side. Hang on. Give it to the Mataji's. Throw it over here.
One example that can be both Krishna's anger and Krishna's tolerance is the story of Shishupal, where Krishna tolerated Shishupal's offenses for 100 times, but then eventually the Sudarshan Chakra came out. But he did tolerate him for, he should have killed him at once, but he tolerated for 100 times.
It's very interesting pastime, because actually Krishna was ready to tolerate for forever these insults, but because the Rajasuya sacrifice was taking place to install Maharaj Yudhisthira as like supremacy of the whole world, many other kings didn't like what Shishupal was saying, so they were ready to kill him. So any blood would have fell on the yagya arena, then there's no more sacrifice. You have to do the challenge horse again, collect more gold again, you can collect all this ghee again, call the demigods again. You have to do so much work again. So then with the Sudarshan Chakra, chopped his head up and no blood would fall. I don't know how he did it, but he's God, he can do anything. So yeah, thank you, that's an amazing influence of the Lord. Yeah, Bhagavatam again, yeah, no, go for it. Tolerance.
Hare Krishna. One of the best examples for me is Rishabhadeva. Rishabhadeva is Krishna himself, and he was preaching for many places. He was traveling for many villages and many cities, many different places, and he want to show to the people how to be focused in Krishna consciousness. But I don't know, he adopted like a mood of a harmless.
Jala Yoga.
Yeah, and he was meditating in the villages like this. And he was chanting, Hare Krishna, and other mantras I don't know which one. But he was chanting, and the materialist people, they urine on him. They was urine and throwing excrement away. And he was full of urine and excrement. And he was putting in the body the excrement and urine of the material people. And Prabhupada explained in the purport how he was using this like protection, the urine and excrement from material people, like protection from them, because he smelled so bad. He was smelling so bad, and the material people.
I have to stop you there, because Lord Rishabdev, he's been the Lord. Actually, he took this Agra Vrata, which means a Python Vrata. So he wouldn't even care about his bodily necessities. And actually he would lie in his own urine and stool. But because he was Supreme Lord, his stool smelled very nice. Roses, and you can smell for many miles. So actually, and if he get any, because he would walk like a madman, then people wouldn't appreciate him for who he really was. So then they'll treat him wrongly. But this didn't affect him because of not identifying with the body. You find the same with Jai Bharat too. Great tolerance he exhibited. And with this pastime, when his brothers put him as a scarecrow in the field, and then there was some dacoits who wanted to do a yagya, or a sacrifice for goddess Kali. So they need to find like an animal like human, so they thought this Jai Bharat would make a good specimen, a good sacrifice. And Jai Bharat didn't complain at all. Yeah, take me. He had no identification with this material world, completely absorbed in serving the Supreme Lord within. So as he was laid down, ready to be sacrificed, to come down. So Kali or Durga is known as Vaishnavi. She's actually a devotee of the Lord. And seeing that the pure devotee is about to be offended in this way, she acted in anger. She acted in anger out of love for her Lord and the Lord's devotees, and chopped all their heads off of all these dacoits and drank the blood from their heads. You can see it's a very nice picture in the Srimad Bhagavatam in your hand. That's why I love Srimad Bhagavatam so much. It's actually everything's in there. It's not just like a book where it's talking about love of God, but there's violence, there's politics, there's romance, there's humor, there is espionage, so many different subjects that you probably get from your DVD set or your Netflix collection. You can find all that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, full entertainment. Because the Srimad Bhagavatam is not just a book you read academically and then, yes, I read the book, and then you tick it off the list. No, Nityam Bhagavad Sevya, it's actually an experience of Krishna. You're associated directly with Krishna. Every syllable has so much meaning. With this explanation, 64 meanings of the Atmaram verse, Lord Chaitanya tells Sanatana Goswami that each syllable actually has so much meaning. You know, it can mean Krishna, and so many different meanings can be derived. So one can, is actually supposed to do Nityam Bhagavad Sevya, to be completely absorbed in the Lord's pastimes with his devotees. This is, and so if you want to put this like rocket boosters into your spiritual life, then dedicate a good amount of time in your day to Srimad Bhagavatam, serving the Srimad Bhagavatam, either through reading, applying, or serving the spiritual master, the person Bhagavatam. In this way, even if you don't understand these purports that are there in the Bhagavatam, they are revealed to you within your life. Shrimpata Swakata Krishna Punya Savana Kirtana Hirananta Stohi Abhajani Vidunoti Sahitsatam. That the Lord sitting with the heart in the heart as a super soul sees that the honest devotee is very eager to hear his messages. So Krishna, he sees you hearing Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavatam, trying to follow the order of the spiritual master. Oh, this person is trying to get to know and love me, but he is having trouble. Tesham Satata Yutanam Bhajatam Pritipuvakam Dadami Buddha Yogatam Yenamam Ubhiyantite. By that constant engagement with Priti, with that affectionate. So we don't have affection for the Lord, but the spiritual master has affection for the Lord. And by assisting his loving service, Dadami Buddha Yogatam, he gives you the intelligence for which you can come to him. So the same thing, by serving the Bhagavatam, book Bhagavatam, reading these purports, trying to get to know him, Krishna arranges your life so you can understand the purport, so you can know Krishna. It's actually a full interactive experience. It's like you're diving into like a video game or something, and you know you do different you find out different stages of spiritual advancement, and then Krishna gives you a challenge or an experience where you not just like understand or philosophically, but you can feel it, that you're an eternal servant of Krishna, and Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead. You actually experience reality instead of illusion, where every step's a dance, every word's a song, every day's a festival. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is also, because I'm a Harinam devotee, so I'm going to throw in the Harinam stuff in. Vyakta Kari Bhagavate Kari Bhadabhara Kali Yugadama Nama Sankatanasara. The Bhagavatam is constantly revealing that the essence of Dharma in Kali Yuga is Nam Sankirtan, Harinam Sankirtan. You'll see that from the verses, from every verse is glorifying the Yuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan. This is the only way one can attain Krishna Prem in this age. This is the only way one can be delivered in Kali Yuga. And we will experience so many things in our spiritual life. But the Srimad Bhagavatam is so merciful, seeing these extreme examples of these devotees, of how they surrender to the Lord. Seeing these extreme examples. what it means is Trinadapi Sunachena, is to be humble, is to know that you're from Kali Yuga and there's nothing else you can do but chant the holy name of the Lord. This is the only thing that works. Mahaguna. Kaladesha Nidhi Rajan. It's the Mahaguna. There's an ocean of faults in Kali Yuga. And the Mahaguna, Kirtana Eva Krishna Sya Mukta Sangha Paramaja. By Krishna Kirtan, then one attains the supreme goal of that Parojana, love of God, that Krishna Prem. That's available there. And what you find with these two activities of Harinam Sankirtan and reading Srimad Bhagavatam, it's your consciousness comes completely absorbed, and anything that your body dictates you is very easily tolerable, and you know exactly how to act in every circumstance. This is the most amazing thing about Srimad Bhagavatam. It's creating a revolution in the consciousness and the pious lives of misdirected civilization. So, I will stop because it's been too long. If there's any comments, any more comments or questions? Yes.
Thank you for last class. Recently, maybe 2 months ago, one Mataji visited our temple. I don't remember her name, but I think she's a little bit famous. She was teaching her 2 sons just with the Bhagavatam and mathematics. And with 12 years, they went to college because they were so intelligent. Because she said everything is in the Bhagavatam. They learn tolerance, they learn how to deal with persons, the false ego, I mean all the subjects. So now when they go into school, they can immediately take up everything. Because in Bhagavatam everything is inside. And she tried to talk to us that we should educate our kids only with the Bhagavatam. Also language, you got the English skills from the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada's English is very simple. In the beginning they just read the verses, like stories like Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj. And when they get older, then they also read the purports. And the mother reads, and the son reads, and the father reads. So they have together study the Bhagavatam. And in ISKCON there are some programs already. They are applying this project. I don't know, one of their sons is now a famous scientist. He is good at this.
Radhikarama?
Yeah, Radhikarama.
Yeah, well, he went to university when he was like 16 or 13 or 14. Yeah.
With 12 they went to college.
Okay,
and
12 he went to go.
And they went to the university head, and he said, yeah, for him it's okay, or only if the teacher is okay with it. Then it's, because people, they are older, they are 18 and they are 12.
Yeah.
But it worked out.
Yeah.
So we can see only with Bhagavatam everything is possible, everything is inside.
You don't miss out on anything. Yeah. Has Radhikarama ever came here? Yeah? Slovenia? Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's a very good point. Yeah, so we think we miss out on the material world, or what's the happenings of the material world. And I was discussing this with Gojram, that if you look at the materialists now, it's kind of normal to be a vegetarian, even they're pushing for vegan, to do yoga, to do meditation, whereas when Prabhupada first came to the West, to be vegetarian, they thought you'd die. You don't eat meat, you're gonna die. Where's your protein? They complain so much. Let alone meditation and yoga, that was like only for weird people. But now it's a very common thing. And now he was saying that in Berlin, Alexander Platz had this big vegan market. So many tents are there, many stalls are there, and there is a person that has a nursery for like all the cows and just protecting them. On their own, they're making the decision, I will protect cows. So obviously they've been in touch with Prabhupada's books, because no one has given this idea in the West of, wow, we should protect the cow. There's nothing at all that gives them any material idea to do this. So just by the influence of Prabhupada's movement, then you can see that the materialists are actually aiming for what Prabhupada established through Krishna consciousness. He's light years ahead of the rest of the world. But the naive thing that we may have is that, oh, now they're into yoga, now we'll start to do yoga. Oh, now they're into kirtan, now we'll do kirtan more. No, it's actually Prabhupada established the highest, most revolutionary thing. And if we just attach ourselves to the principles he laid down, then the materialists will come chasing after us. They're like, wow, you're light years ahead of us. We want to do it. Even they started doing their own morning program. Yes. It's called Daybreakers. They have it in New York and they have it in the UK. It's called Morning Glory. So they have like a morning program where it starts about 5 o'clock and they do like a yoga session, some meditative thing. Then they have like a big rave, but there's no alcohol or drugs and stuff. And they just dance and be happy like this. And then they also have like some sort of like, it's kind of like a Bhagavatam class. Everyone has like their inspirational quote or something. And then like the speaker's like, alright, think of this positive vibe in your day or something like this, you know. And everyone feels good. And then they have all this like vegetarian, vegan food, like healthy food. Like, you know, we have breakfast for Shabbat, and they have this vegan healthy food. Then they go to work. And they're paying $40, $50 to do this. Yeah, this is their morning program. And then companies are approaching these people to do it in their companies for their employees at work. This is their, you know, everything. No, we shouldn't do it like morning programs. We should try and connect to them. No, we should connect to Prabhupada, what he laid down. Exactly. If we get it exactly more, then we'll see like a big, you know, that revolution that we want. This is Nityam Bhagat Sevya. Is there anything else?
No. You have to finish this.
Okay, come to Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai!
Prabhupada ki.
Jai!